Scott Baccarat, back with you for our next segment. I did change up the jerseys behind, but I can't keep that up forever. I don't have a closet full of them like others do. Back to the topic at hand. Now that we know what the different levels and such mean, the next logical question we receive is what does a path look like for a player from 6 to 18U? How does that progression go? We understand the confusion and pressure we feel as parents to do what is best for our kids. Good news, we are here to help and line out the potential player progression paths. That is quite the alliteration. Before we navigate the pathway discussion, a brief second to make sure we're on the same page with girls versus youth hockey. Simply put, youth is co-ed, so girls can play youth, whereas girls is, well, obviously, girls only. All right, let's jump into this. The foundation of the program starts at the 6 and 8U levels. There is going to be a future feature on how those models look. From 8U, we move up into the 10U age group. 10U is where you start to see a break in the skill level between teams. Here in HCF, we have the formation of a competitive team and multiple rec or B teams. Whoa, I know that in the last video I said A hockey begins at 10U. It's true. But our 10U rec model has some differences compared to a traditional model. We will elaborate on that at a later date. As we move up into 12U, you'll see the addition of another layer, A or Tier 3 hockey. This leaves us with a Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 programs. Aging into the 14U group, the levels continue to evolve with the addition of a Tier 1 program. Notice the table has Tier 1 and Tier 2, not major or minor. For those out there immediately gravitating and wondering what the bold means, please give me a minute. I'll get back to it, I promise. As the athletes continue to develop, the format continues to add complexity. At the 16U age group, there is the introduction of a 15U Tier 1 program. Lastly, the oldest youth hockey groups. Here we have another somewhat confusing addition with the 19U age group in addition to the 18U teams. The other thing to keep in mind with this group is high school hockey is another great option for kids to participate in. HCF supports high school hockey as it is a wonderful opportunity for athletes to play and represent their school. I hear what you're saying. That didn't seem so bad. Why did you have to draw it out? Well, unfortunately, it's not that straightforward, and there are some very clear distinctions that we need to make between the different groups. So now let's add those caveats to this entire pathway. Those bolded teams I said we get back to, those are all national bound teams, both youth and girls. Next point to make is the Tier 1 youth teams are teams hosted by the Alaska State Hockey Association. ASHA takes the lead on a statewide basis to provide a place for the very best players in the state to remain in state and play at a high competitive level. At this point, girls Tier 1 teams are still run by organizations, but that could evolve in future seasons. The other lines indicate gender-specific teams. 15U is a youth team, and 19U teams are girls teams. The kicker on that, not all of these teams are always formed season after season. At HCF, we advertise what teams we aim to field early in the summer, although those plans can change in the fall depending on player interest. All right, did you get all that? Where does junior hockey fit? What about college after that? Those are some good questions. Let's jump into what happens post-youth hockey. Looking at juniors. Junior hockey players can be recruited during their teenage years to play at multiple different levels. Most of the different leagues are displayed here. After juniors or youth hockey, college can be a goal for kids to reach. In college, there is both NCAA and ACHA. Everyone knows about the NCAA, but the ACHA, or club hockey, provides an opportunity out there for any hockey player to continue playing for the love of the game. Now that we've outlined pathways, I imagine there are still questions, like where should my child play? I'm here to tell you this is not a one-size-fits-all pathway. You can ask multiple knowledgeable hockey people and get different answers from each. To share my personal opinion, I believe we are set up locally to maximize athletic development at the youth level without having to play elsewhere. A parting point of emphasis for players and athletes, don't get caught up in the skill level you're playing at. It's the athlete that determines their path, not the team or level they play at. Youth sports can make families and athletes feel pressured to play at certain places. HCF's responsibility is to develop all participants. With the improvements we've made to the program, we feel these opportunities exist for every player. Yes, that message is a little redundant from last video, but with tryouts starting this week, it's critical for all to comprehend. The most important aspect of any youth program is to pass on a love of the game, and for us at HCF, build a hockey for life mentality. Thank you, and we'll see you at the rink.